In the middle of all the celebrations here at the Geneva Forex events, I spoke to London-based Michael Hart about the fortunes of the sterling.
We've been negative on sterling for a good part of the last 2 years, but it seems that most of the fiscal problems are now being addressed by the new government, and they may well be about to turn the corner on that.
The UK has a coalition government, something which it isn't used to. Are you confident that it's actually going to stick together?
Right. Well, I think there was a lot of concern prior to the election that we would end up in a hung parliament. It wouldn't be possible to form a government, or if a government were formed, it might fall apart pretty quickly. I think the situation we're in now is that we do have a stable coalition that has committed to staying together for 5 years. So I think the omens are as good as they could be.
Do you think the sterling's always going to be more resilient compared to the euro because it's got a common fiscal policy?
Well, I think it's the fact that fiscal adjustment is being undertaken in earnest, right? There have been a lot of carefully choreographed steps to prepare the public for severe spending cuts. So certainly the UK has a lot of room for maneuver and is committed to do that. More importantly, though, I think, is the ability of the UK to also let its exchange rate depreciate, unlike the countries that participate in the Eurozone. And that's going to be a major factor going forwards for the growth outlook for the economy. The signals we're getting from the central bank, from the Bank of England, is that to an extent the tighter fiscal stance will be compensated for by an easier monetary policy, by lower rates for longer. So that's going to offset some of the contractionary effect of the fiscal policy. But certainly if we were to get into a situation where we have fiscal tightening on the one hand and a rise in inflation which forces the Bank of England to raise rates, then we're in for serious trouble in terms of growth.
How important do you think a weaker pound will be for the UK recovery? Because a lot of hope has been put on the export sector.
I think it's going to be quite instrumental in terms of boosting exports. Of course, you also need demand in the destination countries for these exports to pick up. But we're already seeing an extent of an improvement in the trade balance of that, and hopefully that will continue to kick in.
So do you have any forecasts or ideas where the pound's going to be versus the dollar and the euro in a year from now?
We're slightly less negative than we used to be. As I said, we were quite bearish for quite some time. In terms of the euro cross, a lot of that is driven by the decline of the euro itself. We think in the short term we could definitely go to 80, 0.8. The bigger juice is probably in cable, in sterling dollar. Also because as risk aversion retrenches, the dollar eases off a little bit. So we see cable going above the 150 mark.
And then just a separate question, how's the cable trading at the moment? Is it particularly volatile compared to how it was in the past? What's it been like during this economic crisis?
I think markets right now continue to be quite nervous, driven by headline risk. Also in some cases there's a lack of liquidity, but in the major currencies you do get decent trends, at least for a couple of days. So I don't think there's a particular trading issue with cable, but markets are volatile. Short-end volatilities are in the 12 to 14% range, whereas normally they are below 10%. So definitely it's a little bit a different ballgame.
Do you think this volatility is going to calm down anytime soon, or is it something that's going to carry on for a long time?
I think it will stay for some time. We have a number of issues in the market, not just the Eurozone sovereign crisis. We also have fears over the new regulations that are being drafted across the world. And of course we also have some market concerns about a potential slowdown in China and other emerging markets, which would put a major dampener on global growth.
And what do you think about the Bank of England getting more regulation powers and the scrapping of the FSA? Do you think that's going to be a positive thing for the UK economy?
I think the verdict on that is very much out. We know that the previous system wasn't entirely successful. Now there's a new element in the mix in that we will also get oversight of sort of overall macroeconomic stability. But whether the Bank of England is going to be successful at that remains to be seen.
That's it for now. There's plenty more to come on Dukascopy Forex TV, so stay tuned.